Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to our Emuna class. Emuna is our future with a true focus. We're living life with a true focus. This is the kind of life that we all pray for. We join together weekly to develop together. Once again, we're dedicating this class to Refuah Shlema to Shalom ben Yamna. We hope he'll be joining us soon in our next Emuna class. We had the most amazing dedicated class yesterday to his refuah, to his healing. Everyone's pouring in with their good wishes, not just on our platform and all other platforms that I'm connected with. I'm seeing just this big overload of love towards Klal Yisrael, towards Rav Shalom Arush, to all the people of the world are joining together just like the Rav wants, and that's the key to his refuah, to his healing, is by joining together. So, since his class is about true life and keeping that focus, we're going to go into this special time that we're now in, being that tonight is Rosh Chodesh Adar. You're going to say to me every time is special. Yes, that is true. If you're tuning into the Svarim Kadoshim and the holy books of the Tzaddikim in the Torah Kadosha, you'll be meritorious to bless with a true focus, a life that's constantly filled with special moments, especially when it's Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos or Yom Tov. Right now, tonight is Rosh Chodesh Adar. Misha Niknas Adar. Marbim b'simcha, and we can't be b'simcha without an increase of truth, of understanding of what our life focus is, what brings us happiness. We mentioned yesterday or previous week as well the idea of Tony Robbins as well as Rabbi Nachman. I can't believe we said them in the two holy names in the same sentence, completely different worlds. Tony Robbins, Havdalas of Rabbi Nachman ben Fei, Rabbi Nachman ben Simcha, gives us an insight that by being fulfilled, we come to joy. By being busy, with Milat Dishtutza, Rabbi Nachman says, we come to joy, we come to a focused, happy life. And to get into the happy energy, I'm still vibing from yesterday's class from Schlepping Nachas. They were right here, all four of them, the whole band in this studio. And it was a wonderful energy with Rav Dayan Elgod, giving us an excellent class on the Makoiris from Rav Arush and from Rav Nachman, and the idea that hopefully Rav Arush himself will be joining us because he is having a Refuah Shlema. The prayers are working, the joy is working, the energy that we're developing here is bringing new life force into the studio, into Rav Arush's home, into Rav Arush's heart, and into all of Am Yisrael by constantly bringing forth new energy. This is the months of Adar. We're coming into a spring renewal for the world. We're going out of these difficult winter months. I'm still wrapped up a little bit with a scarf, got the woolly sweater. Yes, my wife is looking forward for me to take this off for the new year. Please God, the new energy that's coming with spring. But we thank everyone. Shavua Tov to everyone. Yes, reach out. People are reaching out below. I don't understand everything. Sometimes it's in Spanish, but we can always, thank God with technology, we can do translate. Very easy to get global experience online now with all the different tools, and that's only going to develop more and more as technology develops. And we thank Hashem Yisbarach for giving us all these revelations, that we can sit in the studio and have a wonderful live feed on YouTube. You guys share it out there. Comment on YouTube. We have a wonderful live feed on Facebook. Comment, share, make it real. Bring it to your sphere of influence. Mashpir, bring Emuna global. That's what Rav Arush wants. He doesn't want us just sitting here talking to ourselves. He wants us to make the world a better place, and it's by bringing Emuna to more and more people. Thank God we've been sharing a lot of the wonderful classes, and we also have the website version of Inclusive Unity class, very important class that we gave preparing for Parshas Yisro and Mishpatim, the last two Parshas of Kabbalah Torah. Now we are in Parshas Truma Tetzaveh. The climax of Shovivim was, but we are in the Tat part. This is a hemshech, a continuation, when we have 2 months, when we're Ibayur. We have a 13th month. The idea the year is pregnant with potential. Not just with all the Tu B'Shvat fruits and the Purim Sudas, Purim Katan, Purim Godel, but also is pregnant with the potential and the bracha of shefa and blessing that we're all yearning for. Everybody wants to have a good life. Everyone wants to have shefa in their life. Please God, I'm personally feeling a lot of difficulties right now in that way, and I reach out to you guys to partner with Emunalive.com. Make it happen. Make the shefa come down. Let me know. Always you can partner directly. We have the link on all our platforms, and on Emunalive.com we also have the latest live video from our classes. We have yesterday Schlepping Nach's class. We have today's class now. We have the Inclusive Unity, the edited version. We just put it up. I think it's important, even though it was from Tu B'Shvat, but Parshat Yisro continues. The unity, the inclusive energy that we're trying to build in this studio continues. We're not 100% sure who we are bringing in the next few weeks to get that truthful life focus. But we do know that Zion Adar is approaching and we're getting ready for Moshe Rabbeinu's Yotzai, Purim Cotton. It's a difference. I'm sure we're here from Avoga to explain Moshe Rabbeinu's Zion Adar, the first Adar Rishon, Adar Sheni, which month is the one where it culminates. Personally, it's relevant for me because my wife's birthday is Zion Adar, and I think we go after the second Adar in terms of birthdays. I'm not sure with Yotzites, Elef Havdalas, but Havda Ben Chaim Chaim. But for me personally, it's going to be Baruch Hashem. We're going to have the ability to share my birthday, March the 4th, an English one, but we have the Hebrew one coming up. Baruch Hashem, we're going to have the Tes Vav, or Tes Zion Adar. Of Adar Sheni, I get to share my Purim birthday. I will not be with you guys online because I will be enjoying the Purim energy here in Yerushalayim. And thankfully, some of my good friends are finally visiting, family, hopefully planning to come to Israel, to Yerushalayim. Things are opening up. We have to give a big thank you Hashem and pray that it all goes smoothly. The people that want to come back to the Holy Land should make it here safely. And we appreciate, once again, all you guys joining us weekly so we can have a global experience, United Souls experience in these Emuna classes. Now, I want to remind everyone that below in the class is opportunity always in the description, lots of links to the new platforms we have. We have a Substack, which is amazing. Everyone should subscribe. We're putting out extracts of United Souls book. We're already putting out part 6 this week, please God. And we have the Relationship Flow podcast as well as the blog version. And you can join there, check it out. And please God, we'll have my soulmate again appear on my podcast. But either way, she's always part of it, part of the process. And we thank her for whatever part she can join in, because without her, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. Thank God. So we give a good thank you to all our soulmates, to all the people that invest so much time and love in us, all those wonderful Shabbases. Shabbases, you should be blessed with beautiful Shabbases. We had the climax of Shovivim this Shabbos, and Baruch Hashem was blessed to have some special guests. One of the topics that came up is a podcast I'm featuring, hopefully recorded on Wednesday, on the theme of... Now, this is going to get me into controversial issues. I hope not. I'm giving a disclaimer that I'm not a big rabbi. I'm not a posik. I'm not das Torah. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professor. I'm not anything. I'm just Eli Goldsmith. But what I do enjoy is a good episode of Joe Rogan. I don't know if you guys listen to his podcast. And being that there's all this controversy right now, we discussed our Shabbos table in a Torah way, being that it was Shabbos, the concepts of listening to a podcast like Joe Rogan, understanding that there's all kinds of controversy right now. There wasn't until recently, thank God. He's been accused of misinformation, which thankfully he clarified himself very nicely. Just put out a post, recommend checking it out. If anyone is interested in the Joe Rogan podcast, just put it out there. Very clear concepts, the people he's bringing. He's trying to do something very positive. And if you know Joe Rogan, even though he spoke very professionally and properly, but we know that he's also a comedian. He's also lots of other things going on with Joe. So it's not like he's not in a position where he has to really justify himself, honestly. But nevertheless, that's the world we're in, and we have to put disclaimers and clarify and work with all the different opinions out there. But the main point is that we should remember that we're searching for truth. That was what we clarified at our Shabbos table. We are here to not be naive, not to think of the world as this rose-colored glasses place, but not to get overly caught up with the controversies and all the conspiracies, but to be very clear on what the truth is. Not all these imaginations of truth, clear truth. Now we have a whole internet world, a whole movie world, a whole entertainment world filled with all kinds of imaginations of what the reality is. We have the meta universe. We're talking about that as well, the metaverse. Meta, we're now on the meta platforms, and Facebook Live is really meta now. And when we post it onto our platforms like Instagram's also meta. And we have all these other, we're talking about these platforms that we have all these alternative ways of expressing. And thank God I just loaded up all the class from yesterday and on different platforms and IGTV Live. Even managed to get a few TikTok episodes up. They have all these alternative ways of connecting and viewing these worlds, but the key is to constantly remind ourselves that we're here to home in on the truth, focus in on the truth of what we're here for, what our purpose is, no matter how much effort we need to put out there for Ishtadlus, for the phones and for the networking and to bring Emuna global. At the end of the day, we have to focus in on what we're here for. We're here for to daven to Hashem, to connect to our relationship, to have Emuna. Emuna is relationship with Hashem. We had Rav Notan Orish yesterday on the Israeli platform, and he was saying, I heard, listening to his class because the Rav's wasn't available, and he spoke beautifully about Emuna is tefillah. He quoted his father, and that's what we've been learning in the Garden Emuna series. That's what we're bringing here. We're bringing an energy of truth, because the truth is, by having that relationship with Hashem, it keeps you very focused on your relationship with yourself and the cheshbon nefesh of who you truly are, that you can't just get away from things. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to constantly check yourself. And one of the beautiful aspects of Parsha's Truma, this week's Parsha with the Mishkan, is to have a glimpse of what it means to thank God, to have B'shchanti B'sochim, to have Hashem dwell in this world, and not just Hashem Yisbarach, the creator of the world, dwell in this world, to dwell in our hearts, but it's coming from a point of the Divas Alev from us, that he wants us to want that. It's not that he's forcing his revelation upon us, like we could see a little bit in Kabbalah Satorah. There was this big revelation, and we had to sort of accept it upon ourselves. This way, Hashem's wanting from below. It's rooted to the Latata, an awakening from below. He wants us to bring Hashem into the world. How? By us having an arousal below, wanting that relationship. In every relationship, there has to be two parts: the mashpir, the makabel, the giver, the one who receives. So I'm going to breathe a moment. And remember that we're here for that purpose, of that relationship. That's one of the reasons I have the Relationship Flow podcast. Maybe we'll discuss it a bit more there on intimacy and Shovivim, the idea of relationship having focus and having intimacy, having this mashpir, makabel, someone who gives over and then someone who receives. It's constantly that way of creation. Constantly there's this energy, this downpour of rain, and it's being received, and that puts out now a new shefa of food and bountifulness and drink and everything we need. And this is the way of creation has been made, to be giving and receiving, and giving and receiving, and both are crucial and necessary. And there's that balance constantly. And that's part of the true process. So we have to be tuned into the balance in creation. There's a balancing act. Everything has a healthy middle, a healthy way forward. That it shouldn't become, God forbid, extreme or overly like, whoa, crazy. So we have ability to focus in on what is our center ourselves in true aspects of who we are. That we're souls. That's what it comes down to. That we're souls, and our soul has an intrinsic connection to truth. It doesn't get confused by the sheker, the falsehood of this world, the dimyonis, the imaginations. It's tuned in to what we are. So when we're sitting right now, I'm sitting in a studio in Jerusalem, and I'm talking to you guys online and all these platforms. I'm reminding myself that the most important thing that I can do is talk to myself, talk to the true aspects of myself, my soul. Obviously to make it universal and relatable, what I'm saying, so other people can understand. But really, I have to face myself. I have to deal with myself. I have to be real with myself. I have to be real with my purpose and real with the people I'm talking with. So when I'm sitting at a Shabbos table, or let's say lahavdil, like Joe Rogan sitting in his podcast, he's going to have an honest conversation. Can't let the world dictate how he communicates and who he communicates. He has to be able to communicate with people. And that's the only way we're going to come to truth. We're not going to get to truth by all this, God forbid, filtering and censorship and cancel culture. This is nothing to do with the truth. That's control. And control is not truth. Control is people trying to put their agendas on you, their narratives on you. And we don't want to have those agendas on us. We don't want to have those lack of truths guiding us. We don't want to have fear and imaginations and negativity guiding our life. We don't want the media negative focus to be our focus. We want to be a focus of truth. And I was listening to someone on Zubi's podcast. Zubi's also a truth seeker. I forgot about Zubi. I don't want to mention him again. Zubi brought someone, a journalist. And the journalist's job is to hold the people around in power accountable. Not to work as a mouthpiece for them, but to hold them accountable. Remember, I don't like to get political, but I'm just saying as a truthful person, or trying to be truthful, focused, having true focused life, we have to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to hold the leaders accountable around us. We can't let them have too much power. We can't give them too much power. We have the choice, how we live our life. We make choices all the time, who we invest in. I'm not willing to give even the people I work for here. They don't have power over me in the end of the day. I'm here for truth. And if it becomes untrue, then I move on. Yeah? And that's the blessing, Baruch Hashem, that we daven for, that we should be on a path of truth, that we daven for, that we should have everything we need, and we should be surrounded by people that are true, and we should live a truthful life. And if people are trying to hold us accountable, we'll check it. We're willing to discuss. We're willing to consider different ways of looking at things, different ways of processing things. This is the Nedivus Alev, that we want to give of our heart to Hashem Yisbarach. We want to make a dwelling for Hashem. We have to have our homes and our hearts filled with truth. I was listening to Shir from Mordechai Finkelman, and it holds me accountable that he says you have to get rid of things from your home that pushes away the Shekhinah. So having all these phones, having all this technology, having all this involvement with the internet is in itself, according to Rav Mordechai Finkelman, pushing away the Shekhinah Kadosha, the dwelling of Hashem. And this Parshas Truma is about building a Mishkan, building a place where Hashem can dwell. So how can you have all these foreign objects that distract you and make you lose the focus in your home? So one of the challenges, and this we discussed Friday night, is to make the internet also a place where Hashem dwells. Not to make it something that now becomes forbidden at every level, because for most people that's going to be almost impossible. Yeah. So Hashem has created this reality, and we had Shlomi Zions, for example. I'm not saying he's a big Rav. Once again, I had the disclaimer. I'm not a big Rav. He's not a big Rav. Rav Orish is a big Rav, and he holds. Yeah, you have to use the internet carefully, and he holds the phones are only there to connect to the right people in the right time in the right way, and it has to be boundaries and gvulim, and people have to learn how to let go of these things and have more munah, to talk more to Hashem and less involved with this stuff. And I agree 100%. Meir Chuz is the Rav's emes, but at the same time, he's giving us shlita, he's giving us ability, the Rav in his studio, to bring Kedusha, bring the Shekhinah, bring Torah, bring Emunah into the internet. This is what we're doing here. We're trying to transform this keli, this vessel, into holiness. And that's the whole idea, that we can take neutral objects. It's up to us to bring some spirituality, bring the Mishkan, bring the Mikdash, bring the Beis HaMikdash, the third temple, bring it into our life. Bring it through how we live, how we eat, how we drink, how we use the phones, how we communicate, how we love, how we have family and children. These are all things that I'm working on myself, trying to bring more and more into my life in a spiritual way, to have boundaries, hopefully, when I'm on, when I'm not. For example, last night was busy because the Shir went live, and I want to get it out to as many people as possible. But in the end, it would make my job so much easier. Give me a break, guys. Share these classes so I don't have to go to all these groups and all these places constantly sharing out. You do some of the work for me, not because you're being paid, but because it's Ratzon Hashem. Hashem wants, the will of Hashem is that if you are going to be online, put out good content. If you're going to have time on the internet, use it only to be mashpia, to give over positivity and truth. And if you're not able to do it yourself, give it the channel for others who can. Share their channel, share their influence on the line. It's amazing to me that people like Joe Rogan haven't yet met Rav Orish, or people like in Hollywood haven't yet seen the truth. I was just speaking to someone in LA, and I'm trying to reach out. He was on some big podcasts like Rich Roll and a long list of famous podcasts, and he's going to be continuing that road. I've reached out to him, emailed, phoned. Now we're talking. Now we're trying. At some point, we're going to do some music. I want to influence the influencers. I don't want them just to dissipate into all these false ideologies and then therefore sharing that to all my friends and family. I want the influence themselves to be influenced by Emunah, by truth. Not because we're, God forbid, trying to recruit people to our religion. That's not our way. We don't need more Jews. We don't need more people in the Torah. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the truth to be the reality that we surround ourselves in. So when we go online to these places, the truth is there. It's present. When we do business, the truth is there. When the media are trying to control the world, no, we try push that away and get the truth out there. That's up to us. And one of the ways, Yosef Dino just reached out, is through music. Yeah, he said, Shkoyach. Yes, we have to have music. We have to have Emunah music. That means we have to keep making an effort, even if it's hard financially. We know to make music nowadays is difficult. There's so much struggles with the previous story with Nissim, trying to get him to America back and forth. We lost a bit of money on the flight, or people who are trying to get bookings, and there's much less opportunities. I want to bring Unity Bookings global. I don't want just all these guys to be on my list and they're not getting jobs. It's up to us to bring Emuna global. How? By creating opportunities. If you're in a community, ask the people who have the money or have the ability to host these musicians, to host these spiritual, inspirational people. I got a long list. Listen, Black, Shlomi Zion, Sosa Daniel, all the people that come in our studio, I'll bring them. Schlepping Nachas, whoever you want. Yeah, I'll bring them along. Menachem Hom, any of these people that have been in our studio, they're all legit, talented musical souls. They're all speakers who can inspire. Yeah, we've had all kinds of people. Rav Orish himself, once he's healthy, we're going to come to Brooklyn already. After Pesach, hopefully in the beginning of May, we'll hopefully be in Brooklyn. And that will be an exciting time. Everyone has to pray that he makes it there. And we hope to bring him to Los Angeles, bring him to UK, bring him to lots of places. Yes, even Wylav. Yes, we'll bring the Rav to Wylav. Yes, one of my old friends. Interesting, Yosef Daniel chooses to post that. It's been a long time since I heard his name in my Dalet Amas, but Baruch Hashem, we care about what they didn't know. Had a merit to learn with him in yeshiva, Shtach and Neshama back then. We're learning strong, thank God. We went to Bnei Brak and we had a Shabbos together, good times. Baruch Hashem, we had a few concerts in Yerushalayim, Beit Shemesh. Baruch Hashem, we're praying for all the Yidden. That's the idea, praying for all the people to realize that we have a sphere of influence and not to get dissuaded where we think, wow, like if Joe Rogan himself, as being the most popular podcast in the world right now, is being censored somewhat, or people trying to influence his provider, we have to remember that on such a level that we are doing it ourselves by holding back. Zubi always says, if we're not sharing the truth, if we're not being strong with our principles and who we are, then we're already giving the not good power. And that we, everyone's talking about Holocaust remembrance right now and all this, which should never be again. How do we make it not happen again? Is to not let evil and sheker and lies and negative media and negative controlling people run the world. That means we have to make freedom a real reality that we have to fight. It's not just something we can just sit and be naive. That was the concept I said on the Shabbos table. If we're too naive and we just say just whatever the God of the door says, we do, very naive, very tamimistic, it's beautiful. Yeah, we have to be simple and in our Emunah and our Emunah Chachamim. But at the same time, the Chachamim themselves are fighting for Am Yisrael. Rav Orish is putting all his energy to the point where he's not feeling well to help us. He's not sitting, taking it easy on the couch, watching Netflix. He's putting his energy in the world. And if he's watching Netflix, which I don't think he is, but if he ever would, or if someone like me would, we're making another video, making content, because really, who wants to watch all this crap anyway? Excuse my language. We have to get the energy of Emunah and truth and Torah global. It's not in a point right now where we can just take it easy. We can't just watch this technology get more and more impactful on our lives, on our children, on our friends, on our family, and just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay in my cave, stay in Jerusalem, stay in my holy base midrash and ignore it all. I'll be okay. Mashiach will come save the world and I'll just be ready for it with my Gemara and come out and be... No, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said we have to do everything we can to bring Mashiach ourselves, not rely on someone else or somebody else. We have to be the shlichim of Hashem Yisbarach before Mashiach comes to bring out the light of Hashem into the world. Ola Goyim. We have to build that Mishkan. We have to build that Migdash. We have to bring Truma. We have to Vikach Truma. From our Leiv, Nedivas Leiv, it has to come from our heart. It has to come from our Ratzon, our will, our yearning. We have to, like the Rav is pushing us, Rav Shalom Moshe is pushing us to pray. We want more names. He's getting better, Baruch Hashem. Send us your names. Send us your names. We need your prayers for him, but we also need your prayers for all people of the world. We need to keep increasing our will, our Ratzon, and to change this world and bring it to a good place. That's my class today. How do we keep that true life focus in everything we do? Well, I've already put out the 10 habits. I've mentioned it in my Substack. You can go there. You can see it explained. But the idea is to live effectively. And I'll be talking about it, please God, on this podcast when I'm going to be hosted this week. And we'll put up the link when it's ready. And hopefully it will be clear, the message, it will be more explained, these thoughts about, with somebody going back and forth. That's the point of it, having a conversation with someone, not just yourself, not just with Torah concepts, but also to have a conversation with other human beings. The Shabbos table is for me, such an inspiration when we have guests. A big thanks again to my wife for bringing such beautiful food to the table and cleaning up the house and making everything. Obviously, we all try and help, but she's the one who makes the Malka, the queen, who makes it happen. And we thank Hashem that we are able to communicate without anyone censoring us, our Shabbos table, to be straight, to be honest, to be real. This is the true life we want to live. We have to live a true life. We can't let the government and media restrain our ability to communicate with truth. We have to be able to pour out our soul onto the world, to communicate what we're doing here, and it's the most fulfilling experience. I was listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan, and Schlepping Nachas sent me the quote about the idea of truth, how fundamental the Torah, he said Bible, and please God one day he'll understand how fundamental or true, foundational the Bible is really on the Torah, the Chumshei Torah, Tanakh, and Chazal, and the Tzaddikim. Please God, the world will start to know about this. Someone is intelligent, who's made such effort with his mind, and then it's affecting his heart level. So he's crying, and when he's saying these concepts, he's talking about music, how beautifully he expressed himself. That Halavai, the rabbis and the Torah world should wake up to these ideas of communication with a real truth, not just to have all the Torah in our treasure trove, and not to put the effort and the energy to communicate it properly. We have to develop those tools, including myself, how to communicate the Torah Kadosha in a simple way. So Rabbi Nachman's teachings are clear. So the Chabad teachings are clear. So all the literature Svarim, all the Svadish Svarim, and all the different Svarim of Torah are clear to us, so we can communicate to everyone. So it becomes relevant in their daily life when they're dealing with Bitcoin, or they're dealing with online banking, or they've got the Torah Kadosha influencing their life, how they do it. They bring Hashem Yisbarach into their daily experience. That's the kind of Torah that we want to live. That's the Orach Chaim, that we start off the Torah, and this is how I had my Suda, Shvisi Hashem Negdi Tamid. We always have Hashem in front of us, always. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, that's the beginning of Shulchan Aruch. Obviously, you first have to get up like a lion, like Beis Yosef says, but the Ramah, comes the Ramah with Atzmas Yosef Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rachamim Shemayim, Shvisi Hashem Negdi Tamid. We have Hashem in front of us always. That's how we begin the Shulchan Aruch. And the key is, Rav Ralph Cohen just turned up, so we're going to Baruch Hashem finally get some classes again from him and from Rabbi Nachman's stories. Very excited to get those classes out again. And please God, we'll have another Emuna class. But just a climax, what do we have in this coming 2 months of Adar? We have Purim Kotzen. And how does it end off for the Shulchan Aruch of Orach Chaim, the way of life, the book of Halacha for the Jewish people and the world, really, because everyone needs to know these ideas. It says, Leiv Tov, Mishta Tamid. A good heart drinks always. A beautiful concept. A good heart is drinking always. The same Tamid of having Hashem in front of you, Shvis Hashem Negdi Tamid, is the same Tamid of Leiv Tov Mishta Tamid, that you have a good heart when you're in this world and you're drinking and you're a Leiv Tov, you're a heart that cares, that wants good things, that wants Rachamim Shemayim, wants positivity, wants love and connection. That's the kind of heart that we have. That's the Nedivas Leiv. Yes. I see Yosef Dino also mentioned Matzio. Yes, he should be Zocher. I actually know his name. Matzio ben Rochel Malch Zocher Tshuva Shema. The idea, the Nedivas Alev, the heart level, that is what brings the Mishkan. We are bringing a dwelling for Hashem in our hearts, in our minds, in how we do everything, and all the technology. Bring the Shechina Kadosha, bring Hashem always, not just this ruchniya spiritual concept, but bring it into this world, bring it into your life. Dira Tachtoina, as the Balatani says. We want all the lower worlds to be lit up with Hashem. That's the difference of Yiddishkeit and all other concepts out there of religion and spirituality, that they're always talking about the higher realms. We are trying to bring Hashem Yisbarach into our life, into our world, into the everyday experience when you're with your wife, and when your wife's with you, and when you're with your children, and when you're all the different things, and everything has an ability to bring out the truth that Ein Od Mevada, there's nothing else but Hashem, and that Shechina Kadosha filling up the room, filling up your home, filling up your heart with joy, because it says it has to. The Shechina Kadosha only comes b'toich simcha, b'toich mitzvah shel simcha, and that's the idea that we have to work on. Adar, the time of Aleph Dor, when Hashem is dwelling in our life more, we have to bring the Simcha into our hearts. Anyway, if there's Hashem Simcha, we have to go. We have to go now, be Lamaisa, go do things. The Kaim, let's call Divay Sam Sosech. We have to make sure that we're bringing the Torah alive in everything we're doing, Bahava, with love and Simcha and joy. And that's my hope and blessing. Please God, we'll see you at our next Emuna class. Who's going to be the guests to be announced? The few people that have been put out there, the Waterbury Boys, the Ramazur. I'm thinking maybe Alex Clay, you never know. But we'll see. Whoever that special guest is, thank God it will be someone very special, and hopefully the best guest of all will be Rav Arush himself. We ought to come back to the studio. We'll keep praying for him. In the meanwhile, keep joining our classes, share them global, make it happen, thank God. And everyone should be blessed with a beautiful Chodesh and a beautiful Shabbos and a wonderful, wonderful Mokum Shechina, a place where Hashem dwells, B'Korov Mamish of the Binyan by Shlishi. Amen. Thank you for joining us. Share this global. Thank you so much.